Being low educated is a disgrace to the company.
At this company, the onboarding ceremony with a record-breaking attendance of 80 new hires was held. And on such a big stage, I was chosen to give a speech as a representative of the employees. However, Carter, the executive vice president, made this belittling remark towards me on the podium. The room instantly buzzed with chatter. "Well then, I will withdraw." I said this and handed the microphone to Carter. At that moment, one of the board members ran over, pale-faced, holding a smartphone. The moment Carter saw the screen of the smartphone handed to him, his face turned ashen. "My name is Jack Turner, 40 years old. I work as the head of the Systems Sales Management Department at a major recycling shop company that operates about 100 stores nationwide. I joined the company 15 years ago. After graduating from my local high school, I went to a vocational school to study IT skills and successfully got a job at my current company. At that time, online sales were just beginning to expand rapidly, and students with IT skills and knowledge like mine were in high demand. There were few students with such specialized knowledge in the expanding internet society. Riding the wave of the times, I managed to get a job at a major company alongside students from prestigious universities. Moreover, the president of our company, who grew the company from a small pawn shop into what it is today, valued honesty and dedication to work more than academic background. Nowadays, interviews are handled by the HR department, but back then, the president personally interviewed all the new hires. I was one of those personally hired by the president.
This company is not just about selling goods to customers. We act as a bridge, buying items that our customers cherish and connecting them to the next owners. I believe that human connections are the most important. But what do you think?
The president's face was stern, and his question pierced my heart. He probably wasn't entirely convinced about the new method of online sales we were about to enter.
I understand that simply doing business as we have been will no longer suffice in the future. However, I'm also hesitant to easily break away from our current values just because other companies are doing it.
But I appreciated the president's honesty in sharing his true feelings. My family runs a barber shop, so I understand the importance of customer relationships. However, the growing demand for online sales also reflects our customers' wishes. I believe the time has come when my skills can meet those needs. My hands were sweaty from nervousness. The president nodded and said, "Yes."
You argue that we should develop online sales for our customers, right?
Exactly. The whole point of IT technology is to diversify people's lives and enjoyment. As long as we keep that in mind, I believe we can satisfy more customers than ever before. Could I ask how you think about that? The president laughed at my question.
It's been a while since a young person questioned me in an interview. If you had only talked about the company's performance and not about the customers, I might have had a negative view of online sales. I agree with your perspective.
And so, I was hired to help launch the online sales department, and here we are today. In online sales, where we can't see our customers' faces, we have to be even more attentive than in store sales. Moreover, reviews on the internet greatly impact sales and the company's image. When there's a problem in a physical store, you can sincerely apologize in person, which usually keeps the issue from becoming too big. But online, where you can't physically apologize, even small problems can escalate into major ones. I told the team to respond to customer comments as quickly as possible, even if it's just a minute or a second. We also worked hard to create a site that was easy to see and understand. Customer complaints were quickly directed to me because I wanted to address any issues immediately. Unlike physical stores that have closing hours, online sales are like a store that's open 24/7. When the store is open, it's only natural for the person in charge to be ready to handle any issues immediately. From the launch to when we got things on track, I kept an eye on the constant stream of customer feedback around the clock. However, in the beginning, it was hard for some people to understand. None of the existing employees were knowledgeable about IT, and our department was often criticized for working overtime and tarnishing the company's image. Carter, the executive vice president, who came to this company a few years ago from a financial firm and is a relative of the president, often made snide remarks.
With the money we're spending on you and advertising, we could open 3 stores downtown.
Every time I heard those words, I was secretly determined to improve our performance through online sales. Thanks to this, our online sales and systems improved daily, and the impact of our large-scale online advertising led to a strong start. 5 years later, we ranked first in customer reviews for online sales sites, rapidly increasing our recognition. While managing domestic operations, we also started creating an international sales site. With a growing demand for inbound services, I directly requested my supervisor to add staff who could handle other languages. But even then, Carter had something to say.
Can someone with great language skills really work with someone with your educational background?
Due to his high education, Carter often looked down on me, who had gone from high school to a technical school and then started working. As a technician, I had never worried about my educational background, but I began to wonder if it was important. It wasn't because Carter belittled me for my education. Seeing my own child grow up made me think that education might matter. My wife, Emily, wants to provide specialized education to our son, Lucas, who just started elementary school. I think it's a bit early for an elementary school student, but she's determined.
In today's world, it's necessary to educate them well from a young age. Everyone else is doing it. If we don't keep up, Lucas won't be able to keep up with his peers.
Emily might have a point. It's true that getting into a good university would prevent people like Carter from making snide remarks about you. I certainly don't want my son to go through the same experience as I did. Around this time, our company decided to launch a new business, hiring the largest number of new employees ever, including 80 recent graduates and young mid-career hires combined. We had always held the onboarding ceremony in the company's conference room, but this time it was too small to accommodate everyone, so we rented a banquet hall at a hotel in the city. At that onboarding ceremony, I was personally asked by the president to give a 10-minute speech as a representative of the employees in front of the new hires. Usually, only executives gave speeches, but this time, the president chose me. I couldn't immediately agree, because speaking for 10 minutes in front of an audience is a big deal. Moreover, my words could influence the feelings of the new employees.
There's no need to worry, and I'm not worried either. Just talk about what you've done and what you're thinking now. I'm sure it will resonate with the young people.
With those words by the president, I had no choice but to accept. The day of the onboarding ceremony arrived. Carter was the master of ceremonies, and I had a bad feeling about it, which, unfortunately, proved to be correct.
After the president's speech, we have words from Jack Turner, the head of the System Sales Management Department, who will speak as a representative of the employees. Let me briefly introduce him.
Introduce me? I hadn't heard about this. What was he going to say about me?
After graduating from a prestigious university, I worked at a major financial institution for 20 years, then joined this company as an executive at the president's behest. In contrast, Jack graduated from a rundown local high school, went to a technical school, and luckily rode the wave of the times to get where he is.
With that, Carter looked at me.
Low education is a disgrace to the company.
The moment he said that, the atmosphere in the room became tense. Such a statement, implying an educational filter, could easily cause an uproar in today's world.
I used to think that way, but the fact that he rode the wave of the times and improved the company's performance is undeniable. I hope many of you young people find hope in his words. Now, Jack, please take it away.
With a sneer, Carter handed me the microphone. I took it, looked at the 80 new employees sitting before me, and took a deep breath. Then I declined. The room buzzed with my words, spoken as I exhaled. Carter whispered, "What are you saying?" I wanted to ask him the same thing. I was fed up with his malicious words. What was this man saying in front of young people who had dreams and hopes as they attended the onboarding ceremony? What one thinks of people without academic backgrounds is a personal opinion. But this was a public place. Moreover, at the important onboarding ceremony, he was imposing his values as if they were the absolute truth. Among the new employees, there were not only graduates from famous universities, but also technical graduates. So how could he say such terrible things? Even if I took the microphone from Carter and gave my speech, the young people in front of me wouldn't be moved.
What do you mean? I just introduced you as an excellent employee who has improved the company's performance. Did I say something wrong?
Trying to cover up with a bitter smile, Carter was promptly shut down by me. I don't want to be a disgrace to the company, so I declined to give the speech. Instead, I would like Carter, who graduated from a prestigious university, to give the 10-minute speech. I'm sure it will resonate with the new employees. I shoved the microphone back at Carter. He stared at me in shock, unable to hide his surprise. The room, which had been buzzing with murmurs, fell silent, and the new employees seemed to be listening intently to the exchange on stage. Everyone, please don't misunderstand. I love this company. I respect the president who has recognized me. That's precisely why I want to speak up about things I find odd. I believe it's for the good of this company. I spoke loudly enough for the young people in the back row to hear me without using the microphone.
Hey, Jack, knock it off. Don't disrupt the event. Just read the prepared speech as you were told.
Carter glared at me. Prepared speech? There is no such thing.
What? Then why are you here?
I plan to speak my thoughts as they came to me. I don't have any pre-prepared words. Because those are past words. The moment they are written down, they become outdated. Like academic achievements, their glory is in the past. As soon as I said that, one of the new recruits in the audience suddenly stood up.
My name is Michael. I'd love to hear Jack's speech.
Michael looked at me with a serious expression. His action sparked a chain reaction. and one by one, young people began to stand up and applaud.
Jack, everyone wants to hear your words. I apologize for any disrespect shown here today.
With that, the president apologized deeply to me. More surprised than I was, Carter.
Sir, please don't do that. For the head of the company to apologize so easily, it affects the company's image.
Let me tell you, Carter, you are the one currently damaging the company's image. Reflect on how disrespectful your words were. No, usually you shouldn't even need to reflect. Do you have no common sense?
The president's harsh words echoed through the room, leaving Carter flustered. Watching this, I took the microphone back from him. Then, taking another deep breath, I said, "Now, I would like to address all of you who will shape the future." At that moment, the room erupted into thunderous applause. I waited for the applause to die down before I began speaking slowly. After finishing my 10-minute speech, I stepped down from the stage amid continuous applause and headed toward the president. Beside him was Carter, with a stern expression on his face. However, I no longer felt any anger toward him. Instead, I felt a refreshing sense of calm as I looked him straight in the eye. At that moment, one of the executives hurriedly ran up to the president.
"Sir, this is bad. The audio of this onboarding ceremony is being streamed live on a youth news site's radio. Someone in the audience is secretly broadcasting it. We need to stop it immediately."
The radio live stream is mainly used by teenagers and people in their 20s. It was the latest trend in content where viewers could post news articles and videos. The one who turned pale upon learning this was Carter.
What? Who would do such a thing? We need to stop the ceremony and find out who's responsible immediately.
But the president stopped him.
It's too late to panic now. It's already out there, being seen by countless people. The question is how to turn this situation to our advantage.
The president said, looking back and forth between me and Carter. There was no time to think slowly. I suddenly grabbed Carter's arm.
What? What are you doing?
"If we stop here, you'll just be seen as the bad guy, Carter. Let's get back on stage." I half forced Carter back onto the stage. The room fell silent again, filled with the expectations of many young people. I could feel it as I turned to face the bewildered Carter and extended my hand. He stared at me in even more astonishment. "What are you doing? It's a handshake for reconciliation. Come on quickly." I whispered urgently to Carter.
What are you up to? You.
"I'm doing this for the company. We need to make it look like this was all a performance. Our squabble was a play to entertain the new employees. We've come this far, we have to follow through." With a determined look, Carter grabbed my hand. He even put on a smile, as if to say that his earlier attitude was entirely a joke, and addressed the young people.
This was a prank. The onboarding ceremony often turns into a boring event where new employees have to endure long, tedious speeches by executives. So we staged this to make it memorable.
It was surprising how easily he could lie, but at this moment, it was oddly reassuring. Don't worry, everyone. This company is an environment where you can speak your mind, even to your superiors. We resolve disagreements by discussing them thoroughly. There's no hierarchy when it comes to that. I chimed in with Carter's words. The room filled with the laughter of the new employees. Though it was a bit forced, this incident significantly eased the tension among the new employees, leading to a smooth and pleasant atmosphere for their introductions. In the end, we never found out who streamed the onboarding ceremony on the radio. The audio and the account of the person who posted it were deleted.
Sir, hiring someone who would do such a thing is dangerous. We need to find out who it was.
After the ceremony, Carter pressed the president on this issue. It's true that streaming the audio of the ceremony without permission was quite bold.
The audio was broadcast from the beginning of the ceremony, not just from when your altercation started. It means they planned it from the start. I believe this was a message.
A message.
Carter looked at the president skeptically.
I'm not sure what the intent was, but it's not good for us to become paranoid. Publicly searching for the culprit might cause some of the new hires to withdraw their acceptance. That would waste the HR department's efforts. Let's wait and see.
I nodded at the president's words.
The more pressing issue is Carter's remarks. Talking about academic backgrounds like that is not appropriate in today's era of diversity. You are certainly capable, which is why I asked you to join this company. But academic background is irrelevant.
I'm not looking down on those with less education. But if academic qualifications are disregarded, the company won't compete globally. The academic level of new hires is declining, and fewer young people are aiming for university compared to the past.
I understood what Carter was saying. In fact, my older brother was smart from a young age, graduated from a prestigious university, and now holds a government position. Our parents prioritized him since childhood. In contrast, I was not good at studying, spent my school days indulging in video games and comic, and did only what I enjoyed. While I did that, my brother would leave early every morning, pale-faced, to attend supplementary lessons, take rigorous classes at his prep school, and even go to tutoring school. He would come home at night, looking exhausted as he ate dinner. I could never have dedicated myself to studying so rigorously. And when my brother, after all that studying, passed his university entrance exams, he said to me,
"Do what you love for work."
It was unexpected. I thought he would tell me to study harder and reassure our parents. Although we don't talk much now due to our respective lives, I remember his words every time I see his face. My older brother graduated from the same university as you, Carter. I've seen firsthand how hard he studied. So, I know that getting into a prestigious university is no easy feat. Carter's eyes widened.
What? Your brother went to the same university as me?
Yes, he's a kind and hardworking person. Carter suddenly slumped his shoulders and sighed.
What you said on stage was true.
What I said. To be honest, I had almost lost my temper at the time and couldn't remember exactly what I had said to Carter.
You said that academic achievements are in the past. Now that I'm older, I sometimes get tired of bringing up my past glory. Actually, my son suddenly dropped out of college recently and went on a trip.
What? He went on a trip out of the blue? Why? I exclaimed in surprise. I didn't even know that Carter had a son. Even though we worked at the same company, we knew nothing about each other.
I have no idea why. He was always serious about his studies, never rebellious, and his grades were top-notch. When he told me he dropped out, I yelled at him. Then he
Went on a trip?
But when we were arguing on stage, I suddenly thought maybe I was stifling him. Maybe I was projecting my past onto him and thinking only about myself, not his life.
Carter looked sorrowful, and I didn't know what to say.
If Carter apologizes to Jack, we'll let this incident go. Jack, will you forgive him?
Yes, I also regret causing a scene because of what Carter said. Then Carter turned to me and said, "I'm sorry." I didn't say it out loud, but I secretly hoped he could reconcile with his son. A few months later, the day came when the new employees started their first day at the company. 3 newcomers joined the system's sales management department, and one of them looked familiar. "Aren't you? You're Michael, right?" When I called out, he smiled brightly and replied,
Yes. I'm honored that you remember me.
So you're an engineer. I look forward to working with you."
Likewise. I'm excited to be here.
A cheerful voice echoed through the room, and I was genuinely glad to have such an enthusiastic newcomer. But that feeling was short-lived. At the welcome party for new employees, I heard something unexpected from Michael.
Actually, I'm the one who streamed the onboarding ceremony on the radio live. I've already deleted the account, so I can't prove it now, but I wanted to confess. I didn't want to hide it from you, Jack.
I couldn't hide my surprise at his sudden confession. "What? Why did you do that?"
During the interview, Carter laughed at me for only having a high school diploma. I thought I wouldn't get the job, but then I received the offer. I guess he didn't mean it seriously, but I wanted to get back at him somehow.
"So that's why you did it. If you had been caught, not only would your offer have been rescinded, but you would have also hurt yourself." Michael shrugged and apologized in a small voice. "I'm sorry."
But after hearing your words, Jack, I wanted to work with you. I was surprised when the argument broke out on stage. The live news viewer count shot up. Even though it turned out to be a prank, it was really exciting.
Well, actually, it wasn't a prank at first. Carter and I were seriously arguing. But when we realized it was being streamed live, we quickly decided to play it off as a prank. Michael looked delighted.
Really? That was a real fight?
"Yes, it's embarrassing for grown adults, but that's the truth. So let's both pretend we never heard any of this." Since that incident, Carter hasn't made any snide remarks to me. In fact, the other day, he even shared something personal with me as we passed by each other.
Actually, I talked to my son the other day. It was the first time we spoke since he left on his trip, and he seemed to be doing well. He's currently traveling around Southeast Asia.
"Really? That's great to hear. I'm sure leaving college was something he needed to do for himself. It wasn't just an act of rebellion against you, Carter." When I said that, Carter responded with an awe and gave a slightly sad smile. One day, when I came home, I found Emily sorting through her clothes. She was taking out the fancy outfits she had bought for the entrance exams and putting them in a cardboard box. "Are you taking them to the cleaners?" When I asked, Emily shook her head and said,
We don't need it anymore, so I thought we could sell it at the garage sale. It was pretty expensive.
I didn't understand and asked again, "What do you mean, we don't need it? Aren't we preparing for Lucas's entrance exams for elementary school?"
I've decided to stop. Watching the other moms, it just started to seem ridiculous. They're all desperately promoting their kids, but the kids don't seem to be having any fun.
But Lucas said he wanted to transfer, didn't he? Emily paused and looked down.
Among all the unhappy kids, Lucas seemed the least happy. I realized I've been ignoring his feelings. He didn't want to leave his friends at his current school, but he kept quiet about it for our sake.
I gently placed a hand on her shoulder as she slumped sadly. So that's how it was. But Lucas has grown enough to consider his parents' feelings. Emily suddenly looked up and smiled.
Yes, he's a kind child. I realized that even without special education, he can live a happy life.
I think so too. Someday, children will want to leave their parents' side. Until then, we should watch them grow at their own pace. I decided to look forward to that day when it comes.